What's going on, guys? My name is Israel Carranza. I'm 23. I'm from Cicero, but I can claim Chicago because I grew up in Pilsen. So right now I'm just doing construction. I just recently went back to school thanks to the East Cali scholarship. I'm at Morton College right now, just getting my associates and maybe, I don't know, get into theology. Before my conversion, it was just like a very rebellious life. I guess to go a little deep into it, I was around 14 when I guess I began my process in my conversion. And it was just so rebellious. I would want to be the funniest kid in school. I would want to climb up this ladder of this whole and reach the popular group. And in order for me to do that, I had to get in trouble, get ISS, get detentions, get, calls at home. And it was a life that I was living that even though I knew kind of that wasn't what I was meant to be doing, I was still doing it just because I wanted to climb that ladder of popularity. So it was just filled with a lot of emptiness and just like trying to find a way where like it was just in the complete dark. And I didn't have a good relationship with the Lord. I didn't have a relationship at all, to be honest. It was just something I believed in because my parents told me to believe in. It's something that, I would go to these catechism classes and I was just kind of forced into them. And I was not interested at all in anything that had to do with God or whatever this thing was that, I couldn't really look at, So it was also very confusing. I didn't know what I wanted to believe in. I didn't know what was cool. But, thanks be to God, and he kind of called my name, and I was able to understand his love and his compassion that he has for me and to guide me in my life. Well, I think it was that, my whole conversion story. And when I was 14, I was trying to climb up this ladder of this popularity group. And I finally made it, I finally made it little by little. I was climbing up this ladder and I finally made it to that popular group. And I eventually just lost it all. I only lasted in that popular group for 2 weeks. I worked so hard for me to get to that popular group for a year and a half, for me to just lose it all in the middle of my 8th grade year. And I remember how pissed I was, at God, especially because it was just like, man, like me that I know something, even a little bit about you. Like, why are you letting these people live the life that I want to live? And they don't know anything about you. So it was difficult for me to understand his love and his compassion that he had for me because at that moment I didn't see it. Well, I thought I didn't see it. And for about 2 weeks, I was just like, a little bit sad, a little bit lost, a little bit in the unknown. And something just kind of kept calling my name. And I remember that they say that when you change your life to Jesus, you never forget that day. So I remember this Wednesday of September. I was about 14 years old. And it was around 6 p.m. because that's the time that the Círculo de Oración happens at my parents' church. If you don't know what Círculo de Oración is, it's like, I want you to imagine like the most charismatic place ever. Like people are getting up, hallelujah, hallelujah, going crazy, like throwing stuff in the air and stuff, like the Holy Ghost is all over that place. And there's like preaching and stuff. But my parents were very involved in that. So on Wednesdays we would go, and I would always be bored out of my mind. I would always just be playing soccer in the back. I would grab my little soccer ball, go play with my friends. One of them had a phone. We would just be playing on the phone. Never in a million years was I ever paying attention to this thing. But I remember this Wednesday that I was just like, you know what? I feel like I'm called. I'm called to go this Wednesday. And I don't know for what. I don't know what it was. It was like an unknown call, but it was a call. So I remember we get on the car. We start driving to the church, and I remember I just started looking at life completely different. Like it was the most basic things ever, but for me it was just completely different. It was just like trees, like the sky, like everything was already more beautiful to me, and everything was just a little bit more profound to me. And I was just like, instead of just looking at my phone now and just like living in this small little world that I had, like I was able to finally open my eyes and start seeing what was around me. So I remember we get to the church, and the parking lot was in the front. And there was a big street, and then it was the church. So then we park up in the parking lot, and I wanted to feel like Moses. I was like, God, if this is what you are calling me to do, if this is true, if you're like real and all this and that, I'm not gonna look to my left and I'm not gonna look to my right, and you're gonna stop all these cars. Because if you want me to go to this church, like you're gonna stop all these cars. So I wanted to kind of feel like Moses parting the sea. And I remember I I get out the car, I don't look to my left, I don't look to my right, I just keep walking, I'm just like, oh God, help me. And when I finally make it to the other side, I look around and I'm like, oh, God is real. And then I looked and it was because there was a red light right there. So, it was kind of, God was just playing with me a little bit, But I finally make it to the church. I open up the right door because the left door never worked. I go up these stairs because you instantly get to these stairs and then you get to these big 2 doors. So I'm climbing up these stairs little by little, I'm climbing. And I grab these 2 door handles because I'm like, God, if this is what you're calling me to do, if you're like even real, like I'm gonna have my Rosa de Guadalupe moment. So I wanted the whole air to be flowing and everything. So I grabbed both handles and I remember I just swing them open and I just kind of stay there for a second, like waiting for the air to hit me. And I was like, all right, let me keep going. So then I walk down the middle of the aisle. I'm walking down the middle of the aisle and I see my friends on the left. I see the musicians on the right. I see the compadres, the comadres over here. And I didn't say hi to anybody, because something was calling me to be selfish, And in that very moment, it was just kind of like, there's been so many times and so many occasions where I invested my time, my money, my everything to other people. And this time God was calling me to be selfish and just think about myself and honestly give myself an opportunity to open up my heart, open up my soul, and open up my mind to whatever it is that God was calling me to do. But I couldn't see that because I was never selfish with my time, with my attention, with my heart, with my mind, with my spirit. So I didn't say hi to anybody. I was like, no, forget that. Like, I'm just gonna do whatever God is calling me to do. And I felt like He was calling me to just keep walking down this aisle where the cross was at the end and the front of the altar. So I'm walking down, I'm getting closer. I remember I kneeled down on the first left pew. And I remember when I got on my knees, I was like, now what? Like, what happens now? Like, I thought this whole big celebration was gonna happen, or this big, huge conversion was like I was gonna feel and everything, and I didn't feel anything. And I kind of felt alone. I was like, God, like, if you called me by my name from the moment that I was climbing up this ladder, to the moment I lost it all, to the moment I felt sad, to the moment that I got in the car and came over here and I'm here in front of you, like, why do I feel abandoned? And I was like, you know what? Like, maybe it's time for me to have a conversation with God. There's 3 simple ways for you to have prayer. I didn't know how to pray. I would never pray. I only prayed because what my parents told me to pray or what my parents told me to do. But the one way is just talk to God. Just talk to Him. Tell Him how you feel. He wants to know your heart. Even though He knows your heart, He wants to know. He wants to know it coming from you. The second way is just listen to God. But many times we kind of want to vent, and sometimes we don't let the other person talk, and we just don't listen. So you can't really get anything back. And the third way is to have a conversation with God. Like, you talk, He talks, you listen. And that's what I did. I mean, I was so good at talking, and I feel like I still am. So I was like, you know what, let me have this conversation with God. And so then I kind of told Him how I felt. I was talking to Him in a space where it was truly my heart speaking. And what I desired. I told Him how I was upset with Him. And I remember very, very peacefully, like, just something like came over me. It was something that I knew it was God because of how calm my heart was. And right then and there, He reminded me that He gave me the gift of life. I got a haircut, so you guys can probably see the scar that I have on the left side of my head. And it was basically a needle that had to be stuck in my head to listen to my heart, because I have a heart murmur. When I was born born premature, and I was dying. And for them to monitor everything more, like, I guess in a better way, they had to stick something in my head, I don't know. But not only was I premature, but my older brother, who sadly passed away, he was premature. And he, unfortunately, wasn't given the gift of life. But I know that everything happens for a reason, and that had to happen. And that's why I love my name, because his name was David, Israel David, the King of Israel. And so then when God reminded me at that very moment that I was made for something more, and that, like, everything had to happen for a reason, I knew entirely right then and there that I was going to give my life to God. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys that my life has been perfectly. I have not been a perfect Christian. I have not been a perfect Catholic. I definitely have failed, and I'll continue to fail, unfortunately. But throughout that time, throughout that first conversion that I had, it was something that stayed so true to my heart that I was like, man, this is what love is. This is where I want to be at. And it's crazy because I literally thought that I was like the only young person that believed in God. I didn't think any other young person in the world believed in God, because nobody took it seriously. And for me, it was something that I was a little bit shy about in the beginning. But why be shy about, praising God in private when He died for me in public? So, that's a little bit about my first conversion story. Obviously, like I said a little bit earlier, it was just like the whole life of Christianity isn't perfect, right? Like, you're definitely going to be in your ups and downs. But recently, thanks be to God, I've seen that a lot of things have changed, and it's been very fruitful, thanks. I see myself a lot more in peace. I'm not going to tell you guys that I don't ever get mad, or I don't ever, I'm the perfect, brother or son. But that a lot of peace has been brought up to my heart, has been something that's been so fruitful. What has changed a lot is that I love the Eucharist. So I go to adoration every single day. I pray my rosary every single day. And if I start my day with that, or at least I end my day with that, I know for a fact that it was a good day. That regardless of what had happened, it was a good day. And it has brought me to a better character development, It's something that obviously has to be improved every single day, but just trying to go to daily mass also has been a big thing for me. And I do see myself just having so much of a better day, because I feel so much more present. Knowing that He's with me, knowing that He's walking with me is okay. I go, and of course there's moments where you go to mass, or you go to adoration, you go to confession, and then right after that you get in a huge argument, with your family, or huge argument with your ex-girlfriend, or with your boyfriend, or whatever it is, best friend. But you learn how to deal with those situations a little bit differently. It doesn't come from a place of hate anymore. It comes from a place of peace, love, and just trying, to de-escalate those situations. So yeah. I'm very intentional now with my relationships, my friendships, whatever it is. That's the biggest key thing that I have gotten off of my spirituality recently, is be intentional. Be intentional, obviously, with your relationships, because I don't want to be, making friendships, relationships that don't take me closer to God. I don't get a benefit off of that as much as if I were to surround myself with people who help me become the best version of myself. I can also attribute to that and help them become the best version of themselves. When it comes to relationships, you obviously look for somebody that's gonna walk with you in the faith, walk with you in this darkness. Sometimes that you want to walk with people that are gonna pick up your cross for you when you can't pick it up, because they know. I hope they know that the people that I have made intentional friendships with, that I can pick up their cross when they're in need. So just being intentional. My goal for this Lent has been kind of like a big Lent, I guess you can say, because I've been doing Exodus 90. For those who don't know what Exodus 90 is, I like to say it's Lent on steroids for men. So it's kind of daily readings, daily reflections, daily asceticisms, acts of self-denial. I have an anchor, which is somebody that I can check in with. They can check in with me, and we have this big fraternity, which we're actually meeting right after this. So my goal, obviously, with Lent and this whole Exodus 90 is just to really seek what it is that God has planned for me, and just let His will be done and not mine. It's something that I've been really meditating on, especially in the agony in the garden. It was something that kind of just struck me, and I want that to be, Jesus feared, Jesus was scared, Jesus had felt fear, and for Him to still say God, let not my will be done but yours, it was dude, there's nothing that I cannot say or do or can get over for me not to be doing God's will. So at the end of this Lent, and at the end of my journey in Exodus with my fraternity, I want to be free from all my pharaohs that I myself have enslaved myself with. I want to create new practices where I can continue to grow in my friendships and my relationships, be a better brother, be a better son, be a better friend, be a better partner, and just truly do the will of God, and whatever it is. Even if I do it scared, I still want to do it. Why? Because I know that God is with me. My invitation to land for all you guys is to truly open up your heart, open up your soul, and open up your mind, and to seek what it is that God has planned for you. Maybe some of you guys don't know what your gifts are yet, or you feel like, Israel, like I'm too short, I'm too tall, I'm too, I don't know, skinny, I have glasses on, I have, like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is your attributes are. Every single one of us here has a plan. Every single one of us here has a purpose. And I want you guys to seek that purpose and to fulfill that purpose. Not to only know about it, know that you're a good listener, or know that you're a good talker. No, actually go out and do it and use it. Use the beauty that God has given you in your gifts, and just for you. Because all those gifts are just perfectly just for you. God looks at you and he tells you that you're the most perfect person that he's ever created on this earth. Imagine this, like, God created the heavens, the earth, the mountains, everything. And then he said, you know what? There needs to be a you in this world. There needs to be a you in this world. So I hope that after this land, you guys seek those purpose if you guys don't know what it is. And if you guys do know what it is, then use it. And use it again. I'll suggest that you guys let me see, what do I suggest? I suggest that you guys go into maybe RCIA classes, maybe go into a Bible study, but especially join a community. Join a community, and I'm not saying because it has to be Scali, a community, but of course we would love to have you guys come to our communities. But joining a community and if you're just starting off in your journey in faith, is something that's going to help you so much. We're not made, in this world, we're not made to be alone. God could have done it alone. God could have came in, sent his only son, and he could have done it alone. But no, he chose not to. He chose 12 people. One of them obviously betrayed him, but he chose 12 people. So he is the example of us being in community. If you're just starting off in your faith, it's going to be hard for you. It's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be hard for you to continue in that path, continue in that growth, blindly. There's a saying, the blind cannot lead the blind. And we try not to be blind. We try to take formation classes. We try to do Bible studies. We try to be better disciples so that when people come to us that are blinded, we can help them, we can guide them, we can be that light for them. I like to think about my conversion story more like the story of Job. Because obviously it was like up and down, but then it came to this point where it was just like my spirituality was like on a high. I was on a Jesus high, I guess you can say. And then everything just started going bad for me. Like I started to lose everything I had. I started to suffer from so many things that I just never thought I was going to be suffering from. But it was through those situations, and I'm so thankful that I went through every single one of those situations, because it was through that story that I became who I am today. It was through that I have the spirituality that I have today. I don't know if I didn't go through that, maybe I wouldn't be going to adoration every single day. Maybe I wouldn't try to be going to daily mass every day. Maybe I wouldn't try to be going to confession every week. But I am very thankful, and looking back at my conversion story, I would never want it to be a different way. I would definitely live it again also. Like every single one of us here has a beautiful conversion story. And we don't like to kind of compare, like, oh, mine's is harder than yours, or my life was, no, because at the end of the day, we all took the same decision, and that was to be disciples of God. I want you guys to really pay attention to the little things. Reflecting back a lot in my life, and reflecting back a lot in other people's lives and what they shared to me, it's those little things that at the end create bigger situations. Just recently, just a couple days ago actually, I cut myself right here on my thumb, and I was doing some homework, and I kind of just ignored it. I was like, oh, it's okay, whatever. but it would not stop bleeding. And I kept ignoring it, and I kept ignoring it, I kept ignoring it. It wasn't until I took and it was such a small cut, but I was bleeding nonstop. So I finally took action, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finally. I stopped doing my homework. I went to the bathroom. I put some cleaned it up, put a Band-Aid on. But I look back at kind of my story, and kind of like, you know, like this whole life of being a good Christian is like, we get all these small little cuts, and it's a small cut. It doesn't matter. Like, it's something small. Maybe I'm listening to music that doesn't take my soul to God. You know, maybe I'm doing these small little things that won't take a big effect on me, but all those things add up. And I hope that you guys do not get to that position. Clean that wound now. Do it now. Clean that wound, put a Band-Aid over it, and just offer it to God. Maybe you can't get over that these small little things. Maybe it's difficult for you to stop going every weekend to the bars and drinking and getting wasted. Maybe it's hard for you. But pray to God, offer to God. Let yourself be healed through confession, and let yourself be loved with adoration. So I hope that you guys just let yourself be loved, and let yourself be loved now how you are. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be, you know, clean before you go into the shower. Let the church, let community, let your faith cleanse you, and eventually you'll see a change. So I'll be praying for you, praying for your journey in this faith. I hope that you pray for me, and let's be disciples together.